Sometimes it helps to remember the words of that great philosopher, Emperor Palpatine, and just let the hate flow through you. These were my least favourite books of 2025. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sinead and this is my spooky corner of YouTube, where I talk about the spooky books that I've read, the spooky films that I've watched, and I share the occasional spooky shenanigan. By popular demand, yes, at least 4 of you have asked for this, I am sharing my least favourite books from 2025. The books that either left me cold, left me confused, left me filled with the rage on occasion, and today I shall be a hater, but not a hater, and share my thoughts on why I didn't enjoy these particular novels. I've already released my video on my favourite books of 2025, feel free to watch that. I have wrap-ups from every single month of 2025 of every book that I read. All of them are on the channel, you can peruse them as you wish. But I'm focusing today on the bad ones, the ones that I rated low down the list. There are some subjects in here that I will get a bit serious about, but there's plenty in here to be silly and just embrace the ranty hatred. Let's start with a big old disclaimer. This is my opinion based on my reading of the books and how I felt about them. If you loved a book that I mention in here that I didn't like, you are right. You are absolutely right. You may have a completely different reading of it. You may have completely different feelings towards it, and that is completely valid, and you are entitled to your opinion and to share the love for that book. Go far and wide and do it. I wouldn't want anyone to be put off having their own experience with any of these books. If you like the sound of the premise, if you like the sound of the setup, go investigate it, go look at it, get a sample of it, go and read it. It could be the right book for you, and my reasons don't have to be your reasons for not liking it. It's a guide. I hope it's helpful. Also, a warning about spoilers. It's not my intention to outright spoil and give away the entire plots of any of these books, but even sharing my feelings about the directions they go in could be seen as a spoiler. You may get hints of the direction or the overall feeling of the story, and if you wanted to go into any of these books blind, then you should probably stay away from my thoughts about them. Every book is listed in the description of this video with chapters, so if there was one on your list that you wanted to know nothing about, you can skip that one and come back when you have read it. This video is sponsored by June's Journey. It's a new year, it's winter, it's the time to get cozy, so why not immerse yourself in a cozy mystery game with June's Journey? June's Journey is a free hidden object and mystery game set in the 1920s where you get to step into the glamorous world of amateur detective June Parker and help her solve the mystery of her sister's murder. It's your job to find the hidden objects and solve puzzles to unlock clues you need to solve the case. You get to test your observation skills, travel to stunning locations, and unleash your creativity by decorating and customizing your gameplay island. The more you play, the more resources are unlocked to transform your island into a lush paradise, and you will also unlock more mysteries in the game. I discovered June's Journey last year, and I frequently play it when I need to switch off at the end of a long day. It's fun, it's satisfying, it's got that mystery plot element to keep me hooked, and I am determined to find all of those hidden objects. I'll find them. Oh yeah. The game also has regular special events and seasonal content with new rewards and features to enjoy. If you like the sound of a free, cozy, hidden object game with a mystery to solve, then make sure you embark on June's Journey this year. Download the game today using the QR code shown on screen or go to the link in my description and also in the pinned comment, and you can start June's Journey today. An announcement for those who may be on the edge of their seat wondering if this has made the list. House of Leaves is not in my list of worst books of 2025. Yes, I have finished the book. It took me a hell of a long time to do so, but I have been formulating my ideas, and there are actually little sections I want to go back and reread. My review of House of Leaves, my full deep dive into that, will be coming in January, God's willing, but that deserves a video in itself. Number 1 on the list, a very popular book of 2025, one that a lot of people were saying was the scariest book that they had ever read. Oh my god, what a twist on haunted houses. It was not from me, people. It was We Used to Live Here. The premise of We Used to Live Here is that you have a young couple, Charlie and Eve, both female, living in this new house of theirs in the middle of winter. One day there is a knock on the door and Eve opens it to find a family standing on their doorstep, and they say, "We used to live here. We used to live in this house. Would it be okay if we came in and just had a look around? Want to show the kids?" That is the broad principle. And you have this sort of standoff with Eve, who is a people pleaser but is reticent and is very nervous. Charlie is not around, going, Okay. And they come in, and then things get weird. The youngest child of this family goes missing. Creepy kids, never let them into your house. There are strange events, there are strange movements of the house. Everything starts getting very confusing to Eve. It twists and it turns into this very strange story of a haunted house, of a haunting, of people who are haunted, of all the things. That's as far as I can say about that book. This is a book that falls into the "it just wasn't for me" category, rather than me thinking that this was an outright bad book. Though I really didn't like it. I listened to it on audio, and the audio was good to start with, and I think I went in hoping that this was going to be a more tense haunted house book, really based on that principle of strangers turning up on your doorstep and what happens when you let them in. I think that's a great premise for a book. It's been done before, it's not particularly original, but that sort of thing hooks me in. This book goes to weird and twisting, mind-bending places. It doesn't hold your hand, it sends you down alleyways and corridors and strange cracks in walls and out into the woods at one point, and then there's a person there, and they're all talking in cryptic sort of puzzles and rhymes and battles and things. There is a central plot in there, but to me it got completely lost along the way. I got lost, and maybe that is a flaw on my part of not being able to keep up with it. Maybe this is better as a hard copy. I understand the hard copy of the book has lots of symbols and sort of signs in there as well, little clues of what's happening. Overall, to me, it was feeling very desperate to be weird, to be out there, to really throw you off and never give you enough answers. So you do end up feeling confused and frustrated. And I think that can either let you go, oh, I couldn't work out any of that. That's brilliant. Whereas I tend to go, I couldn't work out any of that. What the hell? What the hell, man? Mind-bending property horror is not my favorite genre, though it can be done well. See The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Also House of Leaves. House of Leaves, while I have feelings about that book, it is clever in many respects. And I feel that We Used to Live Here was trying to channel a little bit of that, maybe make it a bit more commercial, a bit more accessible. It just lost me. When you're talking horror, when you're talking thriller, when you're talking fiction, of course you have to suspend your disbelief, especially with horror like that is intended to be slightly mind-bending. You're going to have to go along for the ride of it. But I maintain, don't let weird people into your house. Don't. If you're nervous and people say, I used to live here, can I come into your house? Nope. Fuck off! It's all based on that mistake that Eve makes of letting people into the house. But who does that? Who does that? I've just bought a new house in the middle of nowhere. Strangers on the doorstep. Come on in! Bring your weird kids. Let them run wild through my house. I apparently have no control over my own domain. Was not scared by it. It's not a flex. It just wasn't for me. And I did have fun when loads of people going, you just don't get it. It's really weird and out there. I was like, yeah, explain it to me more. That'll make me fall in love with it, apparently. The next low-rated book for me was Mr. Magic. When I heard the premise of this book, I thought I was going to be hooked. 30 years ago, a tragic accident resulted in the shutting down of a very popular kids' TV show, Mr. Magic. It was beloved by fans, had armies, legions of people who worshipped this show, but it has pretty much been wiped from the records. No copies of the episodes exist anywhere. No one can get hold of it, but its memory lingers on. The former child stars of the show have grown up, gotten on with their lives, but something seems to be missing inside of them. But then the child actors are told that there is going to be a reunion podcast all about the show. They must travel to a location to be interviewed, but when they get there, it seems that weird things are happening. What is really going to be the story behind this reunion, and are they going to finally find out who Mr. Magic really was? I could not get on board with this book at all. I struggled and struggled. Halfway through the book, I managed to get to the end just to find out what was happening. It was such a good idea, I thought, to have this cursed TV show that has been wiped out and what would happen from the child actors. I wanted to know the story, but it got so convoluted so quickly, so mixed up and messed up with various bits of mixed media brought into the book, usually something that I love, but I had no idea what was happening and what was going on. It was like one idea wasn't being stuck with. There were so many ideas being crammed into the story, and none of them felt fully fleshed out. We were being asked to suspend our disbelief and asked to follow various threads with really very little happening, and to a point of confusion that it just felt so busy that it lost me. I was a little bit annoyed as well, is that the female protagonist, one of the female protagonists at the beginning, is approached by her former castmates who she hasn't seen in 30 years, mostly men, and they go, "We must go to this reunion, you must come with us, get in the car and drive off with us to this strange location." And she just says yes. She just gets in a car with a lot of strangers that she hasn't seen and just puts her trust in them completely. No. I understand that the book is also meant to be a sort of a gentle commentary about the church, about certain religious groups and the control that they have, that the control that they have over children and how they can change your perception. And I like that in a book. Normally, I really didn't feel it coming across in the pages of this book. I didn't get a sense of that. I didn't get a sense of profundity, as it were. It just didn't work for me. Next up, a thriller that I thought was going to be great, eat the rich kind of lavish vibes, and nothing happened. Nothing happened in the last one at the wedding. This is by Jason Rekulak. I hope I've pronounced his name right. I don't think I've ever said that out loud. Please excuse me if I haven't. Same author who wrote Hidden Pictures, which is a book I predominantly really enjoyed. Had a couple of questions at the end of it, but was a good, solid, creepy story. Really, really liked it. And I had high hopes for the last one at the wedding. The setup of this is that we have a middle-aged man, Frank, and his daughter Maggie, calls him out of the blue after years of them not speaking, and she says she's getting married. And she's getting married to a very, very wealthy man, a very, very powerful man with his incredible family, and they have a lot of influence. She wants Daddy to come to the wedding. Let's all make up. And the wedding's going to take place in this huge private estate, lavish, security guards, staff controlling everything. Frank goes along with the help of his sister Tammy, who's quite a nice kind of busybody character, and he goes to the wedding and he notices that things are a little bit off, that his daughter's fiance is a bit withdrawn. There's all sorts of rules and regulations being put into place by the powerful family, and events unfold from there. Well, I say events unfold from there. Not a lot happens. Not a lot happens. This was very dull, really. I thought we were going to get some more intrigue, maybe some more thrilling elements of corruption, of what do billionaires do, what are all the things we think about with billionaires, you know, why is Maggie, the daughter, married into this world, what's been happening? And you get a conclusion, you get a twist, as it were. Eventually, it really was a bit mundane, in my opinion, and so little happened for so much of the book. And I think it was more focused on Frank trying to reconnect and trying to see good in his daughter and his belief in her being a good person. It's just that Frank was very boring as a character. It was like, okay, he's on this journey to try and see good in his daughter. I don't care very much at all. And it's not to say that I'm someone without sentimentality or sympathy and that I can't have a good story about a man trying to repair his wrongs of the past. There just wasn't a lot to do. And it was a huge estate. Somebody stabbed someone, and it sets you up to expect something more bombastic, something more lavish, something darker even. This was a thriller, not a horror. And I am very hit and miss with thrillers. Love a good thriller. Who doesn't? Who doesn't love a good thrilling story? A lot of the time, because thrillers are such a popular genre and they're churned out at such a pace, I can end up going, all right, you've got one idea and you've got one twist and you are dragging us along with it without really any kind of character depth or anything new. You know, just throw in something weird in there. Throw in a morally grey character. Throw in some more peril and dilemma. Just spend a bit more time with the characters rather than this big plot point that you're coming to. Next up, a book that definitely wasn't for me. Was not for me, beloved by so many people and thoroughly enjoyed by many people. It was The Favourites, which is a version of Wuthering Heights with competitive ice skating. Wuthering Heights on ice. This made me go, I am not the target audience for this, and no judgment on the target audience. I fear I am very cynical and would have been yelling at everyone the whole time to cry less and skate more. They all needed to shut the fuck up and get on with their competition. The setup of The Favourites is decent. I like the Wuthering Heights element put on ice. It's so stupid when you say it like that. But if you know the story of Wuthering Heights, it kind of spoils it because you know the direction this must go in. It has a few twists and turns in it. But we have one skater, Katerina, who has not had funding. She is scraping through her determination to become an Olympic skater, but on talent alone. And she meets Heath. Heath. She meets Heath, who is a guy in foster care. He is a talented skater. They make a connection. The love is there. They are drawn to each other, and they will go through the different stages of working at their sport, going through different trainers, different stages of competing. They will meet other skaters who will pose threats to them, who will offer them friendship, who will try to bring them together and tear them apart as they keep trying to get to the Olympics or achieve their dream of being professional ice skaters, ice dancers, ice flippers, whatever it is you do on ice. That's what they wanted. The book does start with a promise of peril at the end, of some incident that happened right at the end of the story. And the format of the favourites is, a lot of it is in transcripts, and you've got these kind of interviews, and then it cuts between the two perspectives of Katerina and Heath. So it's a nice format overall. It is a romantic book. It is very much focused on the internal relationships, the different people, that drama. The drama there is high, and it's very serious. It's very serious, like this is life and death. And the way that young love feels that this is everything. And certainly in Wuthering Heights, you got that sense. But Wuthering Heights was about toxic relationships. Wasn't really getting the sense of toxicity in this. Certainly external people, maybe. Decisions are made and bad choices are made because you're in love or you're blinded by love and blinded by rage. I'm too old for that shit. I'm sorry. And it's not a judgment on people who enjoy it. I feel like I am a twisted old woman who can't let the lovely skaters just have a moment of falling in love. I wanted to yell at them every time they were stopping and getting upset about the drama. I wanted to scream from the stands, from the bleachers, whatever it is you sit on, going, just skate! Practice! It's the competitive edge of me. Bad side of it came out reading this book. Having listened to it on audio, it was very enjoyable on audio at first, but I got halfway through it and went, I don't care about anything that's happening. I don't care about these characters. This story is not for me. It's not that they were badly drawn. I do feel that they were quite one-dimensional, two-dimensional, maybe a stretch. It is very what it is. It's romance, and it's all focused on the drama of that. And if you're invested, you will have a good time with this book. I wasn't. I got to the end just to find out, okay, what happened? And I don't feel my life would have changed dramatically if I had listened to the whole thing rather than just sort of skim to the end to go, oh, okay, there was the peril there. There was the drama. Couldn't see that coming. The Favourites has a lot of fans. And if you love that book, absolutely embrace it. Go celebrate it. It's just me that is very much cynical old me going, boo to love, apparently. Stop crying on the ice. It really annoyed me how much crying and whinging they were doing. There's times when you go, Sinead, you read a lot of horror. Why were you expecting people to come onto ice and start axing each other? The next book does have its lovers in the horror community. People love this as a slice of folk horror. I've seen many people talking about how much they enjoyed it, that they really liked the book. I did not. My reasons will be several, and you can feel about them how you wish. This was Withered Hill. So this is a story of a young woman, Sophie. We have two timelines in this book from the start. We have Sophie who wanders upon the place Withered Hill, this strange world of folklore in the countryside, rural. She wanders there naked and she lives there and she starts to learn from the people around her. It's all pagan and folkloric traditions. We also have another timeline where we've got Sophie living her life in London. Shambolic life is not going well for her, that she is having a terrible sort of time of things. There's something in her past that bothers her, but she's getting strange messages, again alluding to this place Withered Hill. So you have this setup and the two timelines are going to meet. I can't really say any more without giving away big bits of the plot, but there you go, that's the setup. I think Withered Hill has got a good folk horror story at its heart. It was creative, it had some nice touches to it. However, my honest opinion of this was a folk horror story taken from the 70s and 80s with all of that stereotyping in there. In regards to Sophie, I got midway through this book, and again, got to the end of it, so I knew what the plot was, but I got midway through and I was sick of hearing about this woman being naked. I was sick of people's breasts heaving against their shirts. There was a lot of breasting boobily through this book. And I had this moment where I was listening to the audiobook. I got a physical copy, well, I got a Kindle copy as well. But when I was listening to the audiobook, I remember vividly, I was sitting, waiting for an appointment, having listened to this story, and then just sort of sitting up going, how many times is this woman going to be naked? I don't think the end of the plot justified most of what was happening in the book in terms of hypersexualization for her. And also, oh, here's a woman, let's show how her life is falling apart because of a past trauma. You know what she does? She drinks a lot and she has sex with men, anonymous men, inappropriate men. She's having sex and she's drinking. Really? It struck me as a very judgmental view of a caricature of a fallen woman. It's not to say that early folk horror in cinema certainly didn't follow that sort of pattern, that you had a lot of nudity of women in there. It was very sexualized. It was this very kind of archaic view, or this very pagan or a simplified view of this is what pagan beliefs are about. I just think we've moved on from there and would have liked this book to have moved on too. I don't know if this stereotyping is common with this author. I have not read any of other of their works, not really inclined to. But I may be wrong, I may be missing out. Next was a book that... Another book that loads of people recommended as a truly scary original horror, and it did have some moments of originality in it. Another book that started out as a no-sleep story on Reddit. It was Old Country by the Query brothers. In Old Country, we have a young couple who have bought their dream home, a ranch in rural Idaho. This idyllic house with loads of land around it. We have former Marine Harry, and he's basically every cliche that you can think of for a former Marine who is just a good guy at heart. That's him. And his wife, Sasha, who is beautiful and willowy, and she is his salvation. She is his dream and his idol, and she must be protected at all times. You can see where I'm going with this immediately in terms of my feelings on this book. The setup of the book is interesting in that they have bought this property, but they can never leave it. They learn from neighbours, sort of the neighbours that they have, that the land is cursed. Which is always shitty when you're buying a house. Like, oh, the land is cursed. The land is cursed, and every season there will be a haunting. There will be different hauntings that will befall their property, that they will have to abide by certain rules in order to survive. And they are very shocked by this, obviously, as you can imagine. They learn from their neighbours, they learn from people in the area that this malevolent spirit is in the valley, the land where they are. And the different hauntings are creative, they are interesting, but you can survive them. The thing is that you can never leave. People who leave end up dying horrible deaths. It always comes back to get them, so they've got to survive. So what we have is this couple learning how to navigate the different hauntings of the different season. You have spring, you have summer, you have autumn, and then apparently the ghost takes some time off, unless you're Harry. He's going to be haunted in this one. You've got a will-o'-the-wisp kind of ghost that lights up over the pond, the lake near their house. You have the bear hunt that takes place, and that is the most inventive bit of horror in this book. You will see this man who is being chased by a bear screaming for help, but you can't help him. Yeah, great setup of this. The hauntings and the principle behind the story are very good, but it just didn't work for me as a full book drawn out because of the stereotypical characters in it. Very one-dimensional, very cliched. The hauntings as they take place, particularly the bear hunt one, is done about 3 times over. It's like they had a really good idea, and the first time I read that bit, I was like, wow, actually, that's really inventive. But then I had to hear about it 2 more times, and it's like, okay, you had a good idea, stop overplaying it. At the heart of this story is the fact that there are Native Americans who have lived on the land far longer than any of the white people who were there, who understand what is happening with the spirit, but they are just there, in typical cliched manner, to provide bits of information gruffly to the white people. The optimum white saviorism, and this is a spoiler, it's not giving away the entirety of the end of the plot, but essentially the white guys will work out how to beat the spirit, because the Native Americans couldn't possibly have for years. Harry spends a lot of time swearing at people, yelling at people, asking all these kind of, no, this couldn't possibly happen. Like, he's the only one who's had these thoughts, and it really does come across as white macho stamping of the feet. Sasha has no agency as the wife in it. She is just a beacon to be protected, because that's what ladies need. And yeah, the hauntings, while inventive and creative, they just are not sustainable, in my opinion, through the whole of the book. Seeing white saviorism in horror books today, when we know about the magical black man trope, the magical Native American, characters of a different race, of a different culture, are only there to serve and to assist the white protagonist who hasn't earned anything really in the story. That's how I felt reading Old Country, and it is important to see it and to call it out. It doesn't mean that there wasn't a good horror story underneath it. I think it was an okay horror story. I didn't think it was world beating. That's my hard take on Old Country. People may feel very differently about it. Feel free to let me know. Next book that I really did not enjoy. This was a thriller. Again, loads of people were saying, wow, this is great. It's Tell Me What You Did. The setup of this one is that we have a female protagonist who has a podcast. Podcast format is really getting overdone in thrillers. It can do really well, and sometimes it really doesn't. So we have our protagonist, Poe, who's a woman. She presents this podcast, and people anonymously call in and confess their crimes. What a great premise for the show. Not at all legally iffy. Poe has some darkness in her past. She is living with trauma from her mother's murder years ago. That's why she started the podcast. But then one day a man calls the show and says that he was responsible for her mother's murder. But that can't be true, because secretly Poe knows that the man who killed her mother is dead because she killed him. This was bad, in my opinion. I did not enjoy this thriller at all. I felt it went nowhere. I was so hopeful for more twists and turns. I had come up with several twists and turns in my head, hopeful of where it was going to go. It had nice moments of tension to begin with, but absolutely fizzled out to the point at the end going, why did I waste my time with this book? Yep, that was how I felt about it. I thought it had promised so much and just absolutely collapsed and did nothing with what was a good premise, which is in the blurb of the book. That's it. It just was, really? That? Okay. I felt like we knew what was happening all the way through, and then what happened, and there you go. The end. Not a fan of that one. And my final, most hated book of 2025. This one really had issues with, and I will be a bit serious about this one. It is A Haunting in the Arctic by C.J. Cook. I will say from the start, Haunting in the Arctic has massive trigger warnings with it. I am going to mention some of them. They are to do with sexual assault. Tread carefully if you are sensitive. Now, C.J. Cook is an author. I've read a couple of their books in the past. I read The Ghostwoods, which I thought was okay. I read The Last Witch this year, which is about the witch trials of Innsbruck in the 1400s, and I loved that. I thought it was a great version of these trials. Brutal, bloody, violent, but really tense and very well executed. A Haunting in the Arctic is the story of a former whaling ship. It was a whaling ship in the 1900s, 1901, which is where one timeline takes place, that has a curse on it that is reported to be haunted. It went out of commission. It was brought back as a research ship in the 1970s, and then the crew of that ship mysteriously disappeared and bodies were found on board and terrible things happened. Again, haunted ship. Now it is stuck in the Arctic. It is abandoned in the Arctic. It is about to be sunk, but we have a modern day researcher who wants to go to the ship, investigate it, look into the lore around it. And when they arrive at the ship, weird things are happening in the Arctic. Oh, is it haunted? Is there creepy things going on? The timeline in 1901, as a whaling ship, we have a young woman, Nikki, who is the daughter of the ship company's owner, the ship's owner. She is happily married, she's well-to-do, but she is attacked suddenly in the street and she wakes up on the ship, and the ship has set sail. She is trapped on the ship with an all-male crew, and it is revealed in the bits of the blurb will tell you this, that she is to be a Selkie wife on the boat. Now that is, a Selkie wife is a legend. It's not a very good interpretation of the legend, in my opinion, on there. That aside, basically she's got to serve a purpose on the crew. She's got to be a wife to the crew. So we have this timeline of Nikki on the whaling ship as the Selkie wife to the crew, her trying to survive, her trying to figure out how she can get off the ship, how she can get help, what she is doing on there, what is done to her. We have flashes from the 70s about the research crew, and that opens with the research crew found in this mutilated corpse. And then we're following in the present day Dominique, who is a researcher who has gone to the whaling ship, the research ship, the wreck in the Arctic. There's another research crew that have met her. They've sort of coincidentally there at the same time, and they're trying to find out what's happening, and she's experiencing a haunting around it, and they're trying to uncover the secrets of what is the story of this place. Overall, I thought the book dragged. I thought it was unrelentingly bleak. I think that the ultimate payoff of the plot didn't work at all. 1,000,001 plot holes with it. It was trying to be a bit wild and strange. What happens to Nikki on the ship in the 1900s is that she is repeatedly assaulted. And this happens again and again and again. It's not graphic, but you know what is happening in here. And in my opinion, it got gratuitous. She doesn't have any other agency as a character. She's a poorly drawn character on top of all this misery. There is a supernatural element to it that plays into the modern day, that what will become of Nikki after this torment. But it is another example that there are too many of, I really, really feel, of let us show a woman being absolutely brutalized. We have to show a woman being brutalized to justify a supernatural element, to justify revenge. We have enough shit that we're annoyed about. And I know this sounds like I'm getting on my soapbox as a woman about this. It's not me doing a feminist rant, even though I'm very, very happy to do that. Often this happens in books about witchcraft, in supernatural books, that it is something so awful that triggers a woman to find that she has strength and power, and they can only be saved by magic, by something magical that is only unlocked from torment. It's a very simple message of the idea of, like, from great pain and anger will rise some sort of force of nature that, you know, the world and human beings can't contend with. But, it very rarely happens to men. How many books are there that a man experiences grief or something is taken away from him? Not something is done to him, but is done to the females and the characters around him, and that sends him off on a path of revenge and violence that he can wield himself without magic. I know that there are fantasy twists on that, but that's more common than you see women in stories who witness something happening or stuff that's happened to them, and then they find their own power to have revenge. No, they're weak intrinsically. They need something supernatural in order to battle through such horrors. There are horror books that people may want to recommend that do tackle the subject of sexual assault well, with care, with consideration, with thought about the impact of the character, and don't turn it into an excuse to have a spooky kind of story. And you know what really helps conjure spirits? Horrible things happening to women. I felt so strongly about Haunting in the Arctic that it has made me seriously rethink if I want to read any more books by C.J. Cook, because I went back and thought about The Last Witch, and I had the same feelings at the end of it, even though I thought that was a better book, because the trials of Innsbruck, the witch trials there, they were brutal and they were awful, and that is well documented. The works of Kramer and what happened there, you can retell that story, and I believed it. I didn't think it was being indulged, though I still said at the time, okay, we've got another story where Helen Schubrin in The Last Witch was a real person, and she escaped the witch trial. She got out, but she didn't use magic. But in this version, for entertainment's purpose, yeah, she uses magic. Magic saves her. Witches save her in this. Can we just have a story where the woman is able to get out of this nonsense using her brain? I am going to spoil the ending of this book. You can look away now. I will put the spoiler words on screen here because this is a big plot point of the book. You may want to go and read it. Fair enough. The ending of this book is that in the modern day, the wrecked ship that Dominique has gone to, and the other researchers are there, they're all ghosts. They're all ghosts. She is the ghost of Nikki. She is the ghost of Nikki manifested, and she keeps haunting the ship, and the other researchers who have turned up, this crew who just turned up there, they are the ghosts of the people who were murdered in the 1970s by a crewmate who was possessed by the vengeful spirit of Nikki. And they're all there in this time loop constantly of trying to get out of this. If Dominique would just realise who she is. It's ludicrous. It is so many plot holes all the way through it that it's just this really convenient ending of everything you've been experiencing. You've been TikToking all of our adventures. You've been putting stuff online for what you're doing on this research trip. That was all your imagination. That never happened. Lazy. Why did you put in all the TikTok? You didn't need to. What? Did I miss something? What was that for? That was just enough stuff to make us all annoyed. And it was just another excuse for another male ghost to kind of go, women, you're horrible, you're awful, we're going to drown you. And then another man saves her, and then she sort of vaguely at the end decides, oh, I'm actually a ghost, I should let things go. Why? Did not care for this book. There is my rant on A Haunting in the Arctic. Feel free to dive into it with many, many trigger warnings. Let me know if you felt differently about it. That is my list of my worst books of 2025, the ones that I really didn't vibe with. We had some fun in there, we had some ones that I needed to rant about, and there were some big feelings and small feelings shared. As I said at the start, as I will say again now, this was merely my opinion of these books, how I felt about them, how I reacted to them. You can, of course, share your views on these books, if you had a different interpretation of them, had different feelings toward them, I would ask you, be kind to me, be kind to others in the comments. Everyone is entitled to their opinion and their different approach and their different feelings and reactions to things. We all have different lived experiences, and it can change our thought process about how we consume art. It's a wonderful topic for debate about how we approach things. We're having fun here, and me ranting about one thing does not mean that I would judge you if you did enjoy the book and you took something wonderful away from it, because books are great. Is there a book that you read in 2025 or at some point in your life that you really, really want to rant about? Do you want to get into the comments and say, this book, hated it, hated everything about it, hated it for petty reasons, for silly reasons, for mad reasons that you were just feeling it that day? Or do you think that there are popular books that you want to share your unpopular opinion of? Let me know if you would like more ranting videos from me in the future. Not sure what I'll rant about, but I'll find reasons. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you can be notified of future videos. Remember to download June's Journey using the link in my description and also the link in my pinned comments to start your cozy hidden objects mystery adventure today. And most importantly, stay spooky. Bye-bye.